It's Tuesday. I'm back in Los Angeles. We're still sorting through the incredible Super Bowl performance. We have a parade on Friday in Philadelphia. I'd like to send our graphics guy. We have our graphics dynamo, John Corchain, who's the biggest fan. I think we should send him. I think we should send him we should send old Corchain to the parade to give us a little broad street. We'd be like climb up a light post, strap a GoPro to his forehead and see what happens. We have the legendary Cris Collinsworth joining us today. Will he be at the parade? Unlikely, but we do have some big storylines to discuss. I tweeted, do you have questions for Cris Collinsworth about the Super Bowl? Lots of questions about his Patrick Mahomes vibes, the lens of that, what it means. Also some other non-Super Bowl-y topics like Aaron Rodgers, question mark, Russell Wilson, question mark. Where are some of these quarterbacks going? Myles Garrett, the trade, Matthew Stafford, Deebo Samuel. Let's dig in. Super Bowl is over. My voice is now leaving me. Interesting. I had an interesting week, you know? I had an interesting week there at the old Super Bowl, still unpacking it. Happy to be home, though. On our good old set, we got, hello, Dolly. How you doing? We got a new FanDuel football that somebody snuck in there. Didn't see that. I think our helmets and stuff are still en route from our set. We got, you know, little Fleetwood Mac back there. Eli Manning looking a little shaken, not stirred back there, coming off of the Kick of Destiny challenge. FanDuel, what a freaking week at the Super Bowl. We still have so much we want to get to, some storylines. The Eagles are champions. Saquon Barkley on The Tonight Show. We had Jalen Hurts at Disney World. All of the things. And then all of the offseason things. Where do the Chiefs go from here? What do they do? We do want to point out, we were supposed to get to this yesterday, but I was too busy eating beignets. Super Bowl 60, guys. FanDuel Sportsbook got you covered. Already with an early little window. Feast your eyes on this. The Eagles faves to win it again at plus 600. Chiefs, Ravens plus 650. Bills plus 750. And then the Lions, the Niners, and the Bengals to round it out after that. Interessante. Do you guys have anything you want us to talk about? I'm looking at the old chat here. Thanks for joining us. Off-season shows are kind of my favorite. I gotta be honest, because we get to take our time with guests. The fact that we just get to hang out with Cris Collinsworth today, talk a little shop, talk a little free agency. Can't wait. And by the way, Super Bowl 60, an NBC property. So that will be in San Francisco. A big one between him and Mike Tirico, who I did get to run into in New Orleans. I'll unpack a little of my experiences too over the next couple of days from the week that was. I hope our producers maybe have the Undertaker thing teed up. I got to meet the Undertaker. We're super excited about that. But as we continue to sort of go through the layers of the Super Bowl, Howie Roseman is one of to me, the most enchanting, sort of magnetic, intriguing personalities in the NFL, the way he handles stuff. I always end up asking people about, like, what makes Howie Howie. We asked Brian Westbrook about it last week, and he said it's the relationships. He cares about connection. And we saw that, you know, over the years on this show, being there at camp, watching him operate and how he does in the offseason. We do want to give him our due diligence in love this morning. We ran into him. We weren't supposed to interview him back at camp, but I guess we keep going back to when we were there for a personal connection, and here's a little bit of that.
He is a wizard. There's a salary cap. How do you keep doing this?
Well, you know what? We got great people running that on a day-to-day basis. I keep coming to them and saying, how do we get great players? How do we fit these guys? We got a lot of young players on defense, and I'm really excited about it. I don't know if you got a chance to see some of them today, but they're really early part of camp. They're standing out, and that's going to be kind of this challenge right here, you know, making sure that our new players, our young players play at the high level.
You have Jalen. He's happy. He's paid. You've got these two receivers that seemingly aren't, like, killing each other for targets. Then you have a Dallas guard. It's like, I like blocking. And, like, then you bring in Saquon and somehow can manage paying this man as well. It is a wizard thing. I don't know how you do, but
I don't know how he did it, but he did it, and I had a feeling about this team just being complete. I don't know why we were poking holes in it. I think, you know, Sirianni and Jalen Hurts had a lot of questions, and they certainly answered them on Sunday night. For starters, Howie, you dog you. You know, you knew what you had on defense with these rookies, with Bond and with Nolan Smith, and he just had to sneak the young defense, the youth of it all there, reflecting on the whole chat that I had with Howie and how he just sort of has operated and just seeing how the Super Bowl played out. The scope of what he's done in Philly is insane. He's gotten plenty of deserved love, right? You make John Mara look stupid. He loves making people feel and look stupid, and I like the beard, by the way, Howie, you look great. Saquon, Zach Bond, he's gotten love for that, right? Drafting Quinyon and Cooper, replacing Kelsey and Fletcher Cox, and whatever role he played in wheeling and fishing Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio to where they are. It is bigger than this, though. With what the Eagles did on Sunday, Howie Roseman is now the second GM in NFL history to win a Super Bowl with one head coach and quarterback pairing, and then win another ring with a completely different head coach and quarterback pairing. That matters, okay? That's crazy. And you, of course, got the person with Doug Peterson and Nick Foles 7 years ago. Nick Foles tweeting, happy as ever, happy as a clam, Tom Brady shade, all of that. And look at that. Love this. And now he gets one with Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. He switched it up. He's the connective tissue in an experiment. He is the controlled factor, okay? No one has pulled that off in the entire salary cap era until now. No one. The late Raiders owner GM, combo, he operates as both. Al Davis, he's the only other guy to ever do it. So when you went head coach, by the way, John Madden and Ken Stabler, 1976, little history lesson for you. Then again, Tom Flores and Jim Plunkett back in 1980. Almost half a century since we've seen anything like this. This is black and white, people. This is a long time ago, people. Look at that. I love that. The Tiffany CBS mic flag. This is Howie's stamp on being the best GM in the National Football League. It's hard to win championships no matter what you're dealing with, who you're dealing with, what your personnel is, all that. I'm not taking away from other teams that have won multiple rings, but it's clearly easier and a lighter lift when you have stability at those positions. Mahomes and Reed, there's a reason it works so well. They stick together. Montana Walsh, same deal. Belichick Brady through the dynasty. Howie didn't have that. And yet still, two completely different championship rosters within the span of just 7 years. How did he do it? How did he flip this? Look at this. The only player on either side of the ball that started both of those Super Bowls is Lane Johnson, who deserves some love here too. Robbed of an All-Pro. That's it. 21 other completely different names. He beat the game on the hardest possible difficulty level on the video game, okay? This is pure greatness at the GM spot, and that is Howie, you Roseman, who I've been saying, I mean, everyone's been saying for years just how great he is, but I just think his brand is, I want to make you feel stupid. And he did that to the Giants, he did that to the NFC, he did that to doubters, detractors, and he did that to people who were willing to part ways with people like Bond and company. Incredible, incredible work by Howie, and I hope that he is just a 10 out of 10 at this parade on Friday. We've got so much to get to. We'll hit some more with the Eagles, Jalen Hurts. What is the narrative around him? How does it change after winning a Super Bowl? This guy probably has an opinion. There he is. Chris, we're going to fix your shot. Come on. Fred Gadelli would never allow this, Chris. Fred Gadelli would never allow this. We'll be back. Oh, look at that beachfront property. Oh, my goodness. I love Chris. You guys can... What? Okay, sounds great. Perfect. So appreciative. Amazing. Okay, guys, if you have any questions for Cris Collinsworth, definitely hit us up. A lot of questions about Mahomes.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. What's the latest on Micah Parsons?
The latest report was that the Cowboys are weighing whether or not they want to extend him or trade him. So that could be another.
I gotta say, I was nervous to interview him, remember? Like, I wasn't very...
Yeah.
I feel like he's reacted to stuff that's been said on our show in a way that he, in an opinionated, like, authentic way, but doesn't love it. He was one of my favorite interviews. We did, like, 70 interviews. He was unbelievable, just wonderful. Loved everything about him. Got to get him back on the show.
Yeah, and he had some issues with stuff Deebo had said over that time, and like it seemed like he separated that from the show. He was incredible.
There was a Gibbs thing he didn't like either, but he was he won me over within the first 2 seconds of being on the program. Big fan.
Yeah. He was amazing.
And he wants Myles, he wants it all. Okay. It'd be weird to see him gone.
I know. But
look
yeah,
at
they got to figure it out.
I'm at work struggling. I can't even talk. Cris Collinsworth does this the right way. He's already on vacation. What a gem for joining us for a little bit.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
We're gonna take a week off, right? At some point.
At some point here, yeah.
What happens? And we're going to Austin. We're going to Austin to hang out with Kevin Durant because the Suns, for some reason, are playing the Spurs in Austin.
Yeah, the Kevin Durant special. Yeah,
love that. Oh yeah, Texas guy. Maybe we should bring Prejean to that show.
That would be pretty cool.
I think that might be a good. Can we get MH on that? We're trying to find like a co-host. I was thinking Baker Mayfield lives in Austin. We could ask him. But it might be a nice moment for Bij to come hang out.
Yeah, I'm sure he would love that.
He was fun too. Wearing the shortest shorts. He wants to dabble in some other
things off the. Those are dangerous.
A strip sack. What are we doing? Okay. Sounds good.
So here's Mahomes. What's he got left? Pressure again. Decked! Ball is out! And the Eagles have it! Milton Williams with a strip sack. Philadelphia takes over.
Joining me now, NBC Sunday Night Football color analyst, Pro Football Focus majority owner, and former Bengals receiver. That's the intro that's written. Cris Collinsworth, how are you?
What is happening? What are you doing there? This is our vacation week. What are you doing?
I know. What are you doing?
This is the only week off that we all collectively get between now and the combine. What are you doing?
I'm doing it wrong, clearly. And that's why I have you here to straighten me out. You're on vacation, but we have so many things to talk about. Thank you for the time. I saw you at the commissioner's party, but you had there were so many waves and layers of people around you. I couldn't even, as shifty as I am, I couldn't make my way to you, Cris.
Yeah, that's right. You made up for it. You have Fleetwood Mac and Rumors behind you, which is the first album I ever actually plunked money down for in college. True? It was like $7. I hate to say how old I am. It's like $7, and I only got $25 per week. So that was a big chunk. That was like 25%. Yeah.
I saw you. I saw Mike Tirico. He was, Debbie was really helping him out. Loved seeing him. You guys, all the stars were out in New Orleans. I did stumble upon your sons too in New Orleans, Cris.
I'd like to apologize for that. Whatever happened, whatever they said, whatever they might have done, I'd like to apologize here and now.
We weirdly talked about PFF in the middle of a Meg Thee Stallion concert. I'm not joking. We were talking about all the great things PFF has cooking. Isn't that amazing?
That does not surprise me at all. Those guys are businessmen too. But yeah, since you're on it, we're all over the draft. I'm not personally yet.
Yes.
I'm sure. Have you started anything with the draft yet?
Absolutely
Right.
not.
I haven't either. I can't do anything. It's like I watch pro football during pro football season.
Yes.
And then I watch college football during the entire off season up until the draft. But I haven't started. I can't go yet.
But that's what PFF is for. You kind of go there and you kind of, you start, you go to the beach, mimosa in one hand, mojito in the other, and then I listen to all the PFF data and the goodness as I start to get ready for it'll be an epic draft in Green Bay. But we got to talk about the Super Bowl. And I want to start with Tom Brady's watch. Did you see this?
What?
This was a $740,000 Jacob & Co. watch that he wore at the Super Bowl. What are your thoughts?
So is this like the Academy Awards where people give you stuff that to wear?
I don't know.
You know what I mean? But you really don't own it? Or is this like the man really owns this watch and I got a hell of a long way to go before I call next year's Super Bowl?
Yeah, it's almost $1 million watch. You have Super Bowl 60. How do we one up that?
I can wear a better hat.
I want you to wear those jeans that we talked about that one time.
Yes.
That denim.
Yes. That would be good. But I mean, seriously, does Tom own that? Is that?
It's a great question.
That's it.
I feel like
as
that's
soon
something...
as I get off the.
Go ahead.
As soon as I get off this call, I'm calling. I'm going to find out. I'm going to get to the bottom of it.
I'm sure that's the first thing. The first thing on Cris Collinsworth's vacation list is to get to the bottom of that.
Well, think about it. It's, what was it, 126 million people got a chance to watch that broadcast. You're holding your microphone up and you go, why not? Somebody should give me one of those. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. What kind of free stuff do you get to wear? Well, who sends stuff your way, Cris?
I get free underwear. That's what they give me. Yeah.
Okay. Let's move. It always comes back to underwear.
I get nothing. What are you talking about? What I get for free? I get nothing. What do you?
No.
Do you get free albums? Did you get a free Fleetwood Mac? Did you beat me by $7?
I did not, but that I did. I plopped down. I probably paid $40 for that. But I just love that you love the music. I'm not going to ask you about halftime. I do want to ask you Super Bowl 60. If you were to just be able to pick Cris Collinsworth, they come to you and they say, who should we use? Who should we have do halftime? Who would you pick?
Oh, for music?
Yeah.
I see. I'm a country music guy, so I don't know that I really fit into this. But Kenny Chesney, Tim McGraw, those kind of guys. Yeah.
I could see that. We came in with a clip of Mahomes just getting pummeled. I was stunned. I was in the stadium. I was next to sort of Drew Brees, and we were both like, what is happening here? Did you think it could be done for him to look like, for Patrick to look like what he looked like on Sunday? I see you still, Cris. Can you hear me?
Hold on.
Cris, I love
I have a major problem here.
Oh, no. What's the problem? Oh. Whatever you pressed was not the right button to press. Cris did not want to be asked about Patrick Mahomes. He did not want to get into that GOAT debate. We'll take a short break. We'll get Cris back on the other side. We'll talk a little bit more rumors. Clearly, we'll talk maybe some quarterback rumors. Where's Aaron Rodgers going? Right here on the Up and Adams Show with Cris Collinsworth after this. Are you guys working on getting him back?
They're working back there. Yeah.
He's back.
The $7 Fleetwood Mac record. We have him.
I know. You let me know when he's ready.
Okay, let's do it.
He's ready? Okay, Cris Collinsworth is back. Let's talk about the Super Bowl. I'm watching Patrick Mahomes, uncomfortable. Dwight Freeney, Hall of Famer, said he was seeing ghosts yesterday. As you were watching this game, what were you thinking?
It was a repeat of Tampa. I mean, it just was. So the formula is now known, right? And anybody that can do it, it's the same way the Giants beat Tom Brady back in the Super Bowl with a four-man rush. They could get legitimate, quick pressure and play 7 people in coverage. I think it's the only way you can beat a great quarterback, because if you have to blitz to try to go get him, all of a sudden, what do you got? You really can't do that because you can't play the man coverage on the back end of it and get away with it. If you try and rush 3, or if you just don't get there with a 4-man rush, then those zones get extended and the big gaps and the big holes in the coverage, and you can beat them that way. But if the 4-man pressure can get home the way that it did in that game the other day, then it's just it's a disaster. We haven't seen any quarterback that can really beat that on a consistent basis. And then when you consider what they had to do with the offensive line, right? Mike Caliendo had to come in and play left guard. Joe Thuney had to flip out there and play left tackle. So what happened was basically you could watch Creed Humphrey the entire game. Everybody has to do the same thing. They had to take care of Jalen Carter, which basically meant that the center, Creed Humphrey, had to slide over to Jalen Carter's side. And that meant Milton Williams, Jordan Davis, Ajomo, all those guys inside were one-on-one against players either out of position or playing from the backup guard position coming in to take advantage. And so what the Eagles did very methodically was tremendous. They just, Vic Fangio, give this guy credit now. Let's give Vic, my man Vic, some credit. He took a defense that was bottom quartile of the league a season ago. And instead of like going crazy with this pass rush or trying to blitz or do whatever, they just slowly squeezed that pocket. And eventually somebody pushed their way through. And I was a little surprised that Patrick wasn't trying to get the ball out of his hands a little quicker. Like, I thought the answer was, all right, even if it's a 3-yard completion, let's just get it out, right? Boom, let's get the ball out. Let's make sure. Let's get the ball in the hands of Kelsey. Let's get it in the hands of Pacheco. Let's just get it out, maybe break a tackle and take care of it. But there was no way that after the first half of the first quarter, you knew that that offensive line was not going to be able to protect him straight up against the Philadelphia Eagles defensive line. And due credit to those guys, nobody else could either. I mean, there hasn't been anybody really that could have blocked him. The classic matchup would have been Detroit. Like, I would have loved to have seen that one, right? Let's see Detroit's offensive line going against Philly's defensive line. That could have been great. That could have been great. But it was at the weaker point of the Kansas City offense this year, which was their offensive line, especially at the end when they had to flip Tooney back out to the outside, that they got exposed against the strength of the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's what got them.
You know, Detroit-Philly might be the kickoff game next year for NBC. Would you love that?
That would be good by me. That really, at various points of the year, like, I think you could have said Detroit was the best team in football for an extended period of time. I think you could have said that the Eagles obviously were the best team in football sort of at the end of the season.
Yeah.
But that really would have been the classic matchup in my mind, because you would have had two teams with the exact same mindset, that we are going to overwhelm you, that we're going to overpower you, we're going to beat you up in the trenches, we're going to just attack. And it would have just been one of those classic heavyweight fights that I think we would have been talking about for a long time.
We need that one, NBC, NFL.
That would be good.
Mike North.
That would be good.
Everybody, that's what I'd be campaigning for. There are NFL fans, I don't know if you know this, Cris, but that think that you really like Patrick Mahomes. And they're going to hear what you're saying about the O-line and say, you're giving him outs. You're giving him outs. You're saying he should have gotten rid of the ball faster. How much of this is on Patrick Mahomes?
Some. I mean, clearly some. It was... he was missing some throws as well that were, the classic don't throw back across your body, which we've seen him do 1,000 times, but that's what he did for the pick six. He did not have a good first half. He just didn't. And he not only had to be good, he had to be great, and probably couldn't even have been great enough for him to have won this game. And honestly, I don't care if anybody thinks that I like Patrick Mahomes, because I do. I do like the guy. He's been one of the most phenomenal players we've seen in the league for a long, long time. And I think everybody went into that Super Bowl with the same exact thought, which was essentially the Eagles have better players when you take their roster as a whole. And Kansas City has Patrick Mahomes. And ordinarily, it's a pretty safe bet, whether you're betting on baseball or football, who's got the ball in their hand, who's the starting pitchers, right? And even though Jalen's been great this year and has played really well, he hasn't been Patrick Mahomes. And so let's say, and so I thought it was sort of a toss-up, but you could tell from the beginning, not only was the Eagles roster better, it was a lot better. I mean, it wasn't even really close in that way. And the way that Vic Fangio was able to stick to his guns, he never had to come out of his game plan. He never did. Like, I thought, all right, what happens when Mahomes makes those couple of plays and it's a tight game and we're coming down to the fourth quarter and all that sort of stuff? Never happened. It just never happened. And that was my take on the game most of the week, that I thought either the Eagles would win by 2 touchdowns or Mahomes would win it in a close one that came down to the fourth quarter, and it was over way before that. It just never close.
I'm looking at the PFF numbers. 28.2 PFF passing grade at halftime for Mahomes. Second highest pressure rate of his career. 53.3% per PFF. Were you surprised that the Chiefs didn't adjust? We're saying, like, Vic didn't have to come out of his game. I figured, I was like, all right, second half, establish the run, chip away. We're going to change something up. We're going to 28-3 this thing, and Brady's going to have to call it. Were you surprised they didn't?
I don't. It was almost like they were checkmated early on, because you know the guys that they drafted this year. This Quinyon Mitchell has just been a special player on the back end. Cooper DeJean may be the biggest steal that we've ever seen in the second round of a draft, and what he's done to shore up the slot position for that team. They were really not good a season ago in the slot. Cooper DeJean came back in there. C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I mean, just names that people wouldn't talk about. C.J. Gardner-Johnson's, now I like him a lot. He's a Florida guy. But he's out of his mind, right? C.J.'s the guy that when you have him on your defense is different than when he's not on that defense. Darius Slay bounces back. Zach Bond, unbelievable what he's done this season. I mean, out of friggin' nowhere, this guy comes on and has been sensational. And the one guy that nobody talked about, I didn't hear the broadcast. I don't know what they talked about. I should shut up. But, you know, Nakobe Dean gets hurt, and Oren Burks comes in there. And in those playoff games, it was like they didn't miss a beat. Not at all. They didn't miss a beat at all. Nolan Smith runs a 4-4 something off the edge. Josh Sweat was great. But those 3 or 4 defensive interior linemen that they have, to me, from the beginning of the year, I did the same on camera every time we did an Eagles game.
Yeah.
The offensive line and the defensive line of the Philadelphia Eagles is what you have to beat. Nobody can beat them. Good luck, and the Kansas City Chiefs couldn't beat them either.
You did call 2 games with them, right? You did. I looked it up this morning. Week 12 when the Eagles beat the Rams. Then you did the divisional round, and I was just thinking about that. Everything you're saying is like, yeah, they're the better team, the more complete team. All of these things, like, why weren't we all over them all year, even going into this matchup? And it's because of what you're saying about Patrick Mahomes on the other side, but also because I think people had some questions about Jalen Hurts. I'm looking at PFF. Offseason, he's 9th in the quarterback rankings. He actually finished the year graded out as the 24th highest, I will say, quarterback grade. Not great, okay, after what the regular season was. So what do I make of him? What should change now about how he's sort of viewed, graded out, what the perspective, the lens should be at Jalen Hurts at quarterback in this NFL?
Well, I mean, he's the one that says it better than I do. Just because we don't do something doesn't mean we can't do something. So if you've got Saquon Barkley and you've got these monsters playing in the offensive line in front of you, and you don't have to throw the football, why the heck would you? The much cleaner path is to run the football up and down the field the way that they did all season long. But as he said, it just doesn't mean that we can't. And so what we've seen now in 2 straight Super Bowls that he's played in, he's played his best football games in the 2 Super Bowls. And why did that happen? Because people thought he was the weaker link on that offense, and it's no insult to him. But when you have an offensive line like that, you have a couple of really good receivers, you have a great tight end in Dallas Goedert, very good tight end in Dallas Goedert, and you go, the one thing we haven't seen is, you know, every single week him put up 250, 300 yards passing. So what did they do? They took away Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley averaged about 3 yards per carry in that game. Well, you have to commit resources if you're going to have that. You commit resources to try and shut that down. They did exactly that, right? I mean, there's no doubt about it. That's exactly what the game plan was. Unfortunately, you saw it in the first half. Those little wheel routes, those little one-on-one routes, they just said, our receivers are going to beat your cornerbacks back there on the back end. And they just kept throwing up those little fade balls on the right side, down that sideline. And that's exactly what happened. Not only did they win at the line of scrimmage when Kansas City committed all those people up there, they also had faith. And it wasn't just going after Jalen Watson or any of the second line guys. They went after Trent McDuffie. Trent McDuffie is arguably the best cornerback in football right now. Now, he's one of 4 or 5 that you could make that argument about, but they went right after him, and they won those battles too. And so you give them credit because Kansas City Chiefs tried to make them play left-handed. They made them try and do what they considered to be their weaker link, which was throwing the football. And they beat them throwing the football. And they did it in part because of what the Kansas City Chiefs could not do. And what they could not do was pass protect. What the Eagles did great was pass protect. And not only that, I thought Jalen Hurts from the beginning of that game looked like he was comfortable in the pocket. He wasn't scrambling around, like you see him sometimes where he'll scramble left and all 5 receivers are on the right-hand side of the field. He stood in the pocket. He was confident. He was making accurate throws. And I give him a lot of credit. The entire world put who was going to win that Super Bowl on Jalen Hurts' back.
Yes.
He said, fine, I'm going to Disney World, baby. It was so cool. At the end of the game, to see him with the I'm going to Disney World thing, I've never seen him smile or look happier than what he looked like on that moment. And congratulations to him. He earned it.
And he was PFF's highest graded Eagles offensive player from that Super Bowl. People are trying to put him in the conversation, top 5 in the league. Mahomes, Lamar, Burrow, Allen. Can you squeeze him in a top 5 in Cris Collinsworth land?
It depends on what you want. I mean, to me, as you're watching the game, it was very easy to understand how the game of football has evolved now. We just don't see anymore that classic drop back passer. We get Goff's a little bit, Stafford's a little bit, but not many, maybe 3 or 4 of those kind of guys around now. But when you have to defend what they were doing passing the ball down the field, you have to try and take away the best running game in the National Football League. And then, oh, by the way, here comes a power play with the quarterback running the ball and an additional blocker because every other quarterback's handing it off. So you're 1 blocker short. Now you got the extra blocker and your quarterback at 235 pounds and bench pressing 400 pounds and squatting 600 pounds. Now you got all that to cover up too. I mean, all of a sudden, like don't you remember the moment when at Alabama when he got benched and Tua comes in and wins the game? Like I never felt so sick for a guy in my life. I mean, I was just like, I go, God, you won the national championship and you're happy and you could see him trying to be happy for his teammates. But what a terrible moment, for somebody to have to endure being the better man and cheering for his teammate and hugging the quarterback that replaced you and had the game-winning pass. And that's hard, right? That's a lifetime of everybody remembers it. It probably gets brought up in every production meeting that he's ever done. And you just kind of go, he just had to own that. And what did he do? He had on his cell phone a picture of the last time the confetti dropped and it was all red and gold and from the Kansas City Chiefs. And it lived on his phone until today, probably, when he finally got to change that up.
It's beautifully said. I could listen to you all day. Unbelievable. And John Mara will never sleep again.
Yeah. Oh, that's I can't. I bet they didn't even watch the game.
I was going to ask you. I don't think he watched.
Yeah, that would be really hard. And you could tell John didn't want to do the deal. You could just and
he literally said, "I won't be able to sleep if he goes to Philadelphia." It's like the craziest thing I've ever caught on NFL films.
Yeah, and I can relate to it just because I own PFF. That there are times you just have to trust your people to make decisions, right? Like I'm really big on. Look, I hired you for a reason. You're going to make this call, and I'm going to trust you, and I'm going to back you because you have more expertise in this particular field than I do. And then you take a deep breath, and sometimes in your gut you go, I'm not sure I really believe in this. Maybe I should trump this, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to trust my guys. And I'm going to guess this is one time John Mara is probably going, I wish I'd have trumped him. I knew it in my heart. I haven't learned that
lesson yet, but I needed to hear that. One more for you. We started with Fleetwood Mac rumors, so let's hit a little bit of a rumor here. Jay Glazer of Fox is saying Aaron Rodgers' time in New York is over. Where does he go? What is the best landing spot for Aaron Rodgers?
The Raiders. Does that make any sense at all?
I think Russell Wilson makes sense to the Raiders. Maybe Aaron.
Well, I'm just sitting there going, if you're Pete Carroll, and you're going, you know what? I'm probably going to hand this thing off to Chip Kelly at some point anyway, and let's see what it goes. And I don't know, but I mean, Aaron Rodgers has to have the biggest chip on his shoulder right now in the history. And that man, nobody has bigger chips than Aaron. He's the king of chips, right? He's the king of chips. And so if he carries that chip out to Las Vegas, and who knows?
Okay, that
was my first guess.
Steelers. Is that a fit? Steelers?
Nah, not really.
Giants?
Potentially.
You think? All right, you said Raiders. I trust your opinion. Go enjoy your day. Go smell the roses. Get in the ocean. Enjoy your life. Cris Collinsworth, we appreciate you so much. Enjoy that, and then really dig in to the draft. Everybody can go to PFF. It has the draft simulator feature. It is the coolest feature ever. It gets me ready for everything going on. Cris, thank you so much. You are an icon. I could listen to you all day. Thank you.
Thanks, Kay. Great talking to you.
I appreciate you. Enjoy your tea time or whatever's going on. We'll be back on the Up and Adam show. I just learned so much. I have to unpack that in my head. I'm moving in slow motion today. We'll be right back. Okay.
Hey.
I'm dying, I think. What?
You all right? Oh, sorry.
I'm off the steroids. I know you're going through it too.
Yeah.
And I want them back. I want everyone to know.
I warned you this is going to happen.
Last week, I was on some crazy steroid, and I literally felt like I could flip a car. No, I think I could. I know that I could have flipped a car. And I don't want to live any other way. Is it sustainable? Can you? I'm ready for my WWE career. Can I tell? I have so many things to say. Why do you think you said Raiders? There's no effing way.
Him and Brady.
Stafford, he walks away. Aaron would pay to do that job, I think.
Oh, man. The Rams are so close.
Would Aaron work for free to go, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How great is Cris Collinsworth?
Oh, my God. Just take that time out on his vacation and just drop
I felt
gem
bad.
after gem.
The second I saw the blurred background, I was like...
That initial shot, he looked like the guy with like the shrunken head from Beetlejuice. That was
what a man. The man you are, Cris Collinsworth.
That was unbelievable.
I'm gonna listen to that. We should put that whole thing out. Can we put the whole interview out?
The whole interview. Yeah.
I just think it's like a great listen.
Yeah.
I like that he didn't watch. See, he just didn't listen to the broadcast. Did you catch that? What does that mean?
Yeah. He was calling it himself.
Jameis Winston coming to you.
Puka Nacua, Seth freaking Rollins.
A.J. France.
Come on, cheer for me.
I'm about to get ready to dominate.
I'm here to redefine the high score. Let's go. I should have a promotion on my head.
No, I can't even spin this.
We're going to hit a play action here to warm us up a little bit. There we go.
Wow, this is so hard. No,
Oh, I missed it.
take what the defense gives you. Look, I don't play football, all right? I body slam people.
This is not fair.
Oh, I'll take that any day of the week. I showed up and showed out still.
I showed up and showed out still. I showed up and showed out still. I showed up and showed out still. I showed up and showed out still. I showed up and showed out still. I showed up and showed out still. I showed up and showed out still. I showed up and showed out still. I showed up and showed out still. I showed up and showed out still. I showed up and showed out still. I showed up and showed out still. I showed up and showed out still. I showed up and showed out still. I showed up and showed out still. I showed up and showed out still. I showed up and showed out still. I showed up and showed out still. I showed up and showed out still. I showed up and showed out still. I showed up and showed out still. I showed up and showed out still. I showed up and showed out still. I showed up and showed out still. I showed up and showed out still. I showed up and showed out still. I showed up and showed out still. I showed up and sh
that was pretty good. Try me.
Going deep.
Always clutch. Always clutch.
You know your own show hates you when you're the first person to do the Papa shot and you make it through on the first try and they don't include it in the edited package. Don't care about this at all. Over it. I should have been included in that package, Hamilton. I got no, in a cold open, you weren't there, you were playing hurt. I drilled it on my first try, and we couldn't get that in the package. Cool, guys.
I remember that.
Real cool. Real cool. Okay, I'm kidding. Let's pull up the screen again. Who won? Who ended up winning?
Gronk.
You weren't there. I wasn't there. This is all happening while the show was happening. But we love, Oh, Gronk. Gronk crushed it. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Gronk with an unbelievable performance.
And that was when I was with him?
Close.
Okay, I was there for that. I love that. Matt Forte, do your thing. Because we have so many behind the scenes over on Instagram, at Up and Adam Show, on our, of course, our Twitter handle, at Up and Adam Show. We're going to keep, of course, cranking out the content. Our week just looked so big. I was so, the way that the show felt, not to be too self-serving and self-aggrandizing here, but oh my gosh, just the vibes were high. My favorite parts are the parts that I wasn't part of and you unfortunately weren't a part of, which is just the backstage vibes. Getting different people together to say hi, to whatever, to hang out, to have a sport coffee and just chill was epic. I thought it looked so great, it felt great, it sounded great. It takes so much. It's kind of overwhelming how much it takes to put on a production like that. I couldn't have been more proud. I thought we brought it. Everybody was max effort. It showed. So thanks to FanDuel, everyone at FanDuel TV, of course, and here at the Up and Adam Show. It was epic. I had so much fun.
And it really was, and everybody stepped up to such a huge degree, including, I know you don't want to make it about yourself, whatever. You did an incredible job. You're leading a 3-ring circus. There was so much happening on and off that set, and you're just masterful with everything.
But it's so much fun.
Awesome
it's so much fun, and I know that the truth is, behind, inside baseball, we could have done it completely differently. You have 4 guests, or we do whatever, and I asked for the chaos. I wanted the layers, the party. We think how can we get, we need Oz, the mentalist here. We need, some of these injections. We really didn't, and there's definitely a different way to operate. But I think Super Bowl should feel like a party, and it should feel celebratory. And I think it's always so fun to just feel the energy of these different players in the offseason. Probably the best example I could give was Jordan Love. We have him on at Super Bowl. We're lucky enough to grab some time with him. These guys are in season. They're just different. And you get them in a little off-season mode, and it's just fun to hang out and also just give them an opportunity to show what they're wearing. Fashion is so big, and working with these brands and seeing each other and sort of being in this sort of snow globe that is the Up and Adam Show at the Super Bowl was amazing. I loved every second of it, and I couldn't be more thankful for the Super Bowl. It was weirdly obviously things get a little crazy, but I couldn't have been more proud. I thought it was great. Let's get into what Cris Collinsworth said, but I do want to do some attaboys. So Hamilton, scram for a second. You'll come back here to do our Super Bowl 59 attaboys, because this is what we thrive in, the little things, the nuances. And in bringing a Super Bowl back to Philadelphia, Jahan Dotson deserves some love, because things were a little tight early. These two teams were sort of feeling each other out, and it was Jahan that gave the spark for Philly. And I think Commanders fans probably love this for him too. He's a great guy. He burns, just take a look at this. Oh my gosh. He burns Jalen Watson off the line. This is a 27-yard, almost looked like it was in slow-mo. It was beautiful. And I'm bummed that he got his touchdown taken away on review, but they did push it in anyway. And this was a tone setter, in my opinion. So atta boy to Jahan. He got a Super Bowl moment, lots of curveballs thrown his way in his career. This year, I spoke to him at Commanders camp a few weeks before he got traded to Philly. He was so excited about the year to come and to prove himself wherever he was. Take a listen.
I have yet to show the world what I can really do on the field, and I'm really looking forward to doing that this year and years to come. Honestly, I'm so excited. I really am. I really cannot wait. Just because you guys really haven't seen half of it.
We saw a little bit there. he got a chance to show what he's capable of on the biggest possible stage. And now he's got a ring to show for it, which is sort of wild. I've always been a big fan of his. He's really positive every time I talk about him, so happy. And atta boy to him on the other, actually, we're just gonna keep going with the Eagles since they are the Super Bowl champions. We gotta give love to Jake Elliott, okay? Eagles kicker extraordinaire. There was a lot of, and I said don't do it, a lot of hand-wringing, a lot of regular season missed kicks, people going crazy, he's lost it, he's not the guy. The dude goes 4 for 4 on his field goal attempts in the Super Bowl, drills them. More impressive than that, he had to re-kick 2 of them. He had to re-kick 2 of them from farther back after the Eagles were called for false start. So those 4 field goals tied the all-time record for most in a single Super Bowl. Atta boy to him. That's not all, by the way. He's now made 26 of 27 career playoff kicks. That is the second best percentage all time. Tied the NFL record for most career field goals in the Super Bowl with 9. Edward Rooney, Ferris Bueller, 9 times. That's crazy. Without a miss, by the way. He ranks 3rd in Super Bowl scoring behind Jerry Rice, which is insane, and Harrison Butker. So I know, this season might have had its ups and downs. Never come after a kicker. It doesn't help anything. It doesn't, and no one, let this remind you, no one, I don't know that there's ever been a more clutch kicker than Jake Elliott. I said it, attaboy to him, a Super Bowl champion yet again. Okay, lots to talk about. Where should we start, Hamilton? Where should we start? Do you have any questions for me about the Super Bowl?
I have a lot of questions, but I think, to me, we have to start with the full circle moment with the Undertaker. I need to know everything about this meeting, how it happened, why it happened, what your thoughts were.
So I had a couple weird pinch me moments. This wasn't one of them, but okay, let me just get to it, I guess. I was at an event, I was at a tailgate, I was hanging out with Adrian Peterson, largest hands alive. I was hanging out with Chris Carter, friend of the show. I was hanging out with Emmitt Smith, smoothest guy in the business. I was hanging out with Ed Reed, Jonathan Ogden. Who else was around? I was hanging out with, I'm trying to think who else was there. It was a crazy crew. It was one of those things where I was at a tailgate in the stadium talking to Ed Reed about what it was like to win a Super Bowl in that stadium. And it was a real pinch me, how is this my life moment. So basically, I'm doing this sort of panel to get these fans excited. They have, Ed Reed, Ogden, Adrian Peterson. I bring them up on stage, and there's 500 people in this room, on what you imagine would be a club level of the stadium, 2 hours before kickoff. And it's my job to, Ed Reed can be a little wiry. What am I going to get? Where are we going to go in this conversation? Yeah. And we have all these fun little bits that we're doing, and I'm the ringleader of the tailgate circus. And I bring them out, I introduce them, they're unbelievable. And the first thing I asked him, your thoughts of being back here in New Orleans? And he goes, that's the Undertaker right there. And the Undertaker is sitting, and I didn't know this, I don't know he's sitting in the front row of this thing, and I immediately lost them. So all 3 of them, they were gone. So for the next 30 minutes,
all of those Hall of Famers, Super Bowl.
I lost the Hall of Famer. I lost them. I'm trying to get them to focus, and they keep just looking at the Undertaker, and they keep just and it's so funny to watch just the sort of childlike levity and what an icon he is, sitting there, and you have Ed Reed. Ed Reed cannot focus. Okay, he cannot, he is just Undertaker all the time. So then after it was all, I just thought that was really endearing to sort of watch that in real time. Sucked for me having no host, but he was the draw, and I went over to him. You know me, I never go say hi to anybody. Yeah. And I went up to him and got to meet him, and he could not have been more lovely. I didn't tell him I didn't like his storyline about the motorcycles, the Ghost Rider. Yeah. I didn't say this is Ghost Rider's bit. Didn't you steal it? Did he? I didn't do any of that. But he couldn't have been more lovely. Huge NFL fan. But to watch Adrian Peterson and then go ask him for photos, it was very cool. It was a very cool moment. And of course it was full circle because I didn't know what the storyline was, and he rolled up in a motorcycle to Raw on Netflix when I went. And
What's this guy's story? I believe
this guy's story? Yeah. I didn't realize it was The Undertaker. I didn't realize any of that. I mean, obviously, I know who that is from the memes and stuff. Yeah. But I don't know.
Yeah, if he was in the full... Yeah, if he was in the full outfit, I'm sure you would have got it. But it's so fun at that stage with all those Hall of Famers. You're asking Ed Reed about winning a Super Bowl, and all he could focus on is the Undertaker.
It was a perfect moment in that way. I'm trying to think. Emmitt Smith. Then I played Jenga with Emmitt Smith, Cris Carter, and Adrian Peterson. They were playing like one of those monster Jenga things. And the funny part about that is, it's supposed to be like cute, but you know what this turned into? This turned into a gladiator death match. These three were so competitive. It's all like, oh, we don't care, whatever. But you know me, like, I'm not great at rules and, like, keeping track of score. And, like, I was like, you guys police yourselves on this. I just couldn't. I can't handle all of it. And I just knew it was going to turn into, like, they're yelling at each other, arguing with each other, like, integrity of the rules. Emmitt Smith's taking Jenga pieces off the top. I'm not going to stop him. Like, let him live his life. It was amazing. I left there and in a fever dream saw Brian Westbrook, which was amazing. And I thought, in the entire, awesome. The calamity and the mess of the Super Bowl, to see him, I had a feeling right there. I go, this is the Eagles. This is the Eagles game. It was the most lopsided, like, crowd I've ever been a part of. Beyond at a Super Bowl.
It was so Eagles heavy.
Yes, it was Eagles heavy. It was a relatively, just by the time I got into the Super Bowl, it was a quiet Super Bowl. By Super Bowl standards, which are usually a little more demure. What other questions do you have? I'm here for you.
So Adrian Peterson, those hands, like, those don't say Jenga hands to me, those giant mitts.
I don't think he knows that this is the lore. I made him shake my hand, and look at how big his hand is. So this is the thing. This is one of these storylines that I've just sort of tracked in my career. That I'll be in like a conversation, like a water cooler sort of conversation with NFL media members, former players, legends, rookies, whatever, and everyone has the same like, oh, Adrian, have you ever shaken his hand? Like, he apparently crushes people's hands when he shakes them. Like, that's sort of the lore of meeting or being around Adrian Peterson. So I'd never shaken his hand. I've met him, of course. I hung out with him at an airport in Tel Aviv a couple of years ago. It was a whole other story. It was so random. But I've never done the handshake. So I went in. But he gave me a little he was very gentle, very whatever. But the mitts are huge. It was crazy.
That's unbelievable. I've had that experience as well back in college when we played Oklahoma. Got to shake his hand after a game, and he crushed me. It looked like he didn't exactly go easy on you, though.
Let me see. Let's re-rack that. I just felt like such a jerk for. Look at that woman in the background. She's like, "What are you doing?" That's Lauren. She was super helpful.
It's a tight grip.
Yeah, he didn't. We were a little shaky. Look how shaky our hands are. Long day, long nights. But Adrian was amazing. I asked him about Jonathan Taylor. And the record, and if he was going to break it, why it's so hard to break it. And he didn't seem concerned at all. He didn't seem concerned. The record was going away. He's living his best life, which is amazing. I guess we have some Kellen Moore news. Tell me more.
Yeah, it sounds like it's happening. What we all expected. Kellen Moore is finalizing a deal with the Saints to be their new head coach. According to Ian Rappaport, Tom Pelissero, Mike Garafolo, they've been all over it this morning.
I have one incredible fan for the Up and Adam show who I was tracking yesterday and sending you, that he was sending me all the little times that we've sort of vibed out with the Eagles and what was going on. And there was a bit that we had from when Kellen Moore was given the job and how he could be the guy who sort of turns this around and brings it together. This is, for Eagles fans, I don't think it's bittersweet. It's a thank you. Congratulations, I'm sure, on earning a job as a head coach. Go do your thing. He did right by them. And if they've shown us anything, is that these Eagles, they can operate and find new people. And I think it's like a testament to them, of course, and also a nice little vibe for Lions fans who are obviously going to have to deal with coordinator switches and all of that. It's possible, and the Eagles showed you that.
Yeah, and it has to be exciting for Saints fans too, to coming off of that Super Bowl, seeing him, seeing the way he adapted once they took Saquon away and was able to get that offense going, and to do it in your building where he's going to be coaching. That has to be pretty cool for them, and an exciting time for Saints fans as they try to get that turned around. The coolest,
amazing. The coolest part of I'm trying to think of my pinch me moment. I didn't have a drink all Super Bowl, me. any function. I didn't have any. I was hydrating water girl. That's a rare thing for me. I didn't lose my voice. These are all rare things for me. At a Super Bowl, I'm trying to think. We only had one guest cancel, right? I think.
Yeah,
just Trevor Lawrence.
Travel issues.
And he ended up at the Super Bowl. I think I have it on good authority. We're trying to get him on the show next week. That would be amazing.
I've heard some rumblings.
Yes, you can't do anything about that. We have a big guest tomorrow. I think Cooper DeJean is coming on our show tomorrow.
Let's go.
I'm nervous about this interview because one of my worst interview moments were with Cooper DeJean about Caitlin Clark. Mea culpa. I messed that up. I hadn't seen, it was in the draft process and I hadn't done the work. This is why you have to be prepared when you do interviews. I was not ready. I didn't realize what the caliber of player he was. And so I made it seem like he couldn't hold his own against Caitlin Clark, and the internet hates me for it. So I'm going to apologize to him for that and hope he doesn't hate me, but I'm glad he's coming on the show. The coolest moment at Super Bowl, or like the moment, a moment that I'll take away from me was I was at Honors and Barry Sanders came to find me to say hi to me, and I literally went
Wait, what?
Like he just the coolest moment of my life.
What did he say?
Just that he knew that I don't remember. I blocked it out. But I don't even remember. No, I asked him why he wasn't on the show. I remember, and then his agent, of course, stepped in and said, "Oh, I don't remember." Whatever, but I thought that was it was like a movie. I couldn't believe. Oh, and I met Kevin Costner.
It happened. Burying the lead. Well, how did this go? I saw you with Pete Davidson at the game.
Is that true? No, that's a red flag. That's a red flag if I've ever seen one.
How did that conversation go?
It was a great week. So grateful, so thankful to everyone who stopped by our show. Cooper DeJean will be on the program tomorrow. Do not miss it. Do not miss my apology to Cooper DeJean on this Up and Adam show. Thanks to Cris Collinsworth, guys. Use PFF. I met Travis Hunter, too.
What?
He was cool. We'll get to that tomorrow.